What's up, YouTube? Fortune here, and this is my deck profile of what I used at Regionals yesterday. I'm going to run through the deck, show you the cards, and then I'm going to show you some of the simple combos that I did, or some of the combos that you can do with the deck to gain like advantage and overall possibly beat your opponent. I'll quickly say it, I only lost one game the entire day. I 2-0'd every opponent until round 5. When I lost to a friend of mine who was running Frog Monarch. I misplayed that game twice, I believe. I didn't see a single plant except for the tuners, and I had like double debris in my hand. I had nothing to bring back but tuners, so I was basically defenseless as he brought up big monster after big monster and such, so. But oh well, it's all good. And then we ended up in a draw in round 5, and then that was it. And then we just went on from there. So yeah, here we go. Basic plant lineup. Double Lonefire, Spore, Glow Up, Dandy. Triple Tengu, obvious. Mass advantage with tuners. Basically can bring out a level 5 and a level 8 right away, or double 5 or whatever you want. Triple Tour Guide with the Sangan. This card is amazing. It allowed me to drop like first turn Leviathan and everything, so I'll tell you the combos afterwards and the basic plays. Double debris, standard, basically everybody knows that. Lets you bring back everything. Double Maxx, double Leviair. Easy to search out with Sangan, which you get off the tour guide plays. This gave me major advantage. I played against a TG guy in round 6, or a planned TG deck, and I drew like must have been close to 14 cards in one turn because of this card, because he just went off anyways, hoping that he could get the attack off and game me. And well, Leviair's Leviair. Next, Gorz. Gorz really didn't do much for me yesterday. I didn't really draw into it very often. I only saw it against Frog Monarch, and both games that I drew into it, it was like I couldn't do anything because I had a dead limb reverse or call the Haunted down, and since Frog Monarch don't really destroy back row unless they're forced to, then it's like, there you go. So I probably would have done better if I just didn't run the card, but it's Gorz. It's back and forth all the time. And one breaker. I chose to run Gorz over one of these because I figured Gorz, you know, for those random matchups, if I played 6 Samurai or anything, which I amazingly didn't because there wasn't that much Samurai there, or Fabled or anything like that, like decks that could push like crazy, Gorz would help. And honestly, one breaker was quite good anyways because I saw it a lot. So, and a friend of mine ran basically a mirror of my deck. I helped him build a mirror, except he ran Thunder King over breaker, and he went 4-2. So, like I said, it was a little bit of differences, but for the most part, there you go. 20 monsters, spells, double Avarice. 3 is overkill. I drew this a lot, and most of the time it was like playable, like I could play it right away, but normally it meant putting back cards I didn't want, like Dandylion, Glow Up, Spore, and everything, so I wouldn't run 3, or I wouldn't recommend it. Oh, excuse me. Monsterborn, Dark Hole, Trunade, and double MST. Basic staples in most decks nowadays. One enemy controller, one Book of Moon. This stops a lot of push plays when they try to go Synchroing and XYZing. So this is like a staple in my opinion, and I was originally playing 2, and honestly, enemy controller didn't do much for me yesterday. I stopped one guy's agent play by taking the tuner, but it's like, besides that, it mostly was there to block attacks whenever I drew into it. I didn't see it very often though. Mind Control, staple with all the tuners and XYZ in now, is basically staple in almost every deck. 1-for-1 is Broken and Foolish Burial. And next we'll get into the traps. I think there was, what, 13 spells? 12 spells. And then it's like 9 traps, I believe. Yeah, 9 traps. Double Warning and Judgment. Pretty standard, simple. Don't really need to explain it much. Call of the Haunted and Limit. I never used to like Limit, even when I ran Tour Guide, but since the XYZs became legal and everything, and Leviair and Leviathan, and you basically go Tour Guide into Sangan like right away now, and then go Leviathan and pop. So this is like, if I open this turn 1 with Tour Guide, this is automatically active for Sangan, so I think it's basically a staple in the deck now, and Call of the Haunted as well. Call of the Haunted. Torrential, Mirror Force, and Prison, those are my defense. I know a lot of builds aren't running Mirror Force, and I expected a lot of TG up there. But then you come across those rogue decks like GBs or Stun or anything, and Mirror Force is amazing, and this card was really good. It actually blocked the TG player when he went for the big push. I was able to Mirror Force him and basically clear his monsters, and when he tried to like get rid of my backfield, I had Veiler, so I was able to actually block the attack. And 1/7 tools. I was testing 2 and I drew it way too often. And it wasn't worthwhile. Like, it's a great card and everything, but I needed a little more defense, and Prison seemed to be the ideal choice, so. Alright, I'll get to the combos now. There's nothing combo but the traps. Okay, so the basic things I was doing would be, where's the easy ones here? What did I do? A lot of the time I would go my opening turn was either one of these 3 cards. It was either Lonefire, Tengu, or Tour Guide. Almost every game I opened up with at least one. This is by far the best one to open up with if you're going first, because you can go summon Tour Guide, use its effect if they don't have the Veiler, and search out Sangan, and then you exceed summon to make Leviathan Dragon. I know this is pretty standard, but I figured I'd go over it for anybody that actually wanted to know. And then you use Leviathan Dragon's effect. You pitch the Sangan, and then Sangan's effect will kick in due to the rulings on XYZs in TCG at least. And then you basically grab. I almost always went for either Effect Veiler or Maxx, depending on what type of deck I was playing against. If it was a deck that it was either a mirror match, Sam's, or a big deck to special summon, I went for Maxx, because that makes my opponent wary of actually going like pushing special summoning like crazy. If it was a deck that didn't do a huge amount of special summoning, it was Effect Veiler. Like, I know I played double agent decks yesterday. One was just straight agent, one was perfection agent. For perfection agent I usually searched out Veiler. For the standard agent I always searched out Maxx, because if they drop the Earth and then went Venus next turn, this is like major pluses. So what else did I do? If I go Lonefire turn 1, it's usually Lonefire, going through another Lonefire, and then into Dandylion. Just so now I have double Lonefire in the grave to go with Spore. And then I can always, you know, next turn, or after my Spore is used up, remove the Lonefire, and then summon Tour Guide into Sangan or another Tour Guide, and then go into Leviair, and then bring back the Lonefire. So basically, a play I did yesterday is I went summon Lonefire, call in priority, ditch to the grave for another one, and then into Dandylion. Let's say they would kill it, whatever. Usually it was, the actual play was that I went Lonefire into Dandylion, played Foolish Burial, sent Spore to the grave, and then I ended it there. He would go summon, attack the Dandylion, because he couldn't really do a lot more. I get 2 tokens. And then he would just set a couple back row, whatever, and end. I would go, and then if I didn't have Giant Trunade, MST, whatever, to deal with the back row, I'd go, and if I dealt with it, I would go summon Tour Guide for Sangan, exceed into this dude, and then you would go and use Leviair's effect. You pitch the Sangan. Actually, sorry, let me back it up here. You bring this guy out, and then you go Spore, remove the Lonefire to special summon Spore, right? Or sometimes Dandylion, depending on what your hand or field looks like. Then you go Leviair's Effect. Pitch the Sangan into the grave. Search whatever you want. Maxx, Veiler, Debris Dragon. Usually in this case I would go for the Debris Dragon, because then next turn I can basically drop a Trishula, depending on what the situation works out to be, or not a Trishula, but anything really. So now I've got, and then I go Leviair's Effect brings back Lonefire, and then I can tribute off the Lonefire for Glow Up Bulb, and there I've already got my thing. But normally, or if I was doing the Spore thing like this, normally I would actually go for Dandylion, and then you bring back the Dandylion with Leviair's Effect, and you can go in Army Arm, and then go from there. So, but it was just simple plays like that. Like, other plays I was doing was, I'd go like, I'd have Tengu up, and then I go and make like double 5s, Librarian into Catastor, or Librarian into Scrap or Stardust, and whatnot. And Breaker was another good open play, so if I didn't draw into any 3 of those other open plays, I could drop Breaker. So, like I said, not really a lot of combos that you don't already know about, and I don't want to waste too much time on that. I'll do the extra deck now. Double formula, pretty standard. I wouldn't run 3, especially since it's going to 1 now next format. So 1 Leviathan. I almost want to run 2 of him, because I was running Avarice and I could recycle my Tour Guide Sangan, and he was really good. I used him a lot, like almost every game I brought him out. But like I said, with Avarice going to 1 next format, there's no point in really running 2 of him. So 1 Leviair. I didn't use it that much, but the games I did use it in, it usually meant I won. So 1 Armor Arm, pretty standard, level 4. I beat one guy in a game because I was able to equip and then attack over his high defense monster, and it did the damage that needed. He was at like 700, and I attacked over a Debris Dragon for game after I equipped that to one of my monsters. So 1 Roach. Roach is amazing, but every time I brought it out, and I did bring it out fairly often, like I'd summon Debris, they'd Veiler, and I have Tengu already up, and I just go right into Roach. He's amazing, but it's like every time I brought him out, it was against a deck that didn't special summon level 5s very much. Like, I know I brought him out one game, and it was against the Agent deck, and it actually stopped a Hyperion because he had nothing else. But it's like, him versus Utopia is really its personal preference. Utopia is good, and if I could fit both I would, but I chose Roach because the only way I could fit Utopia in was to drop Fairy Dragon, and this card just high defense and makes instant Trish plays really fast. So I just personally like Roach. Maybe that's just me though, maybe because it's also a hard card and it's expensive right now and everything, but I think it's a good card. And anyways, because I don't main deck Thunder King, so like my teammate, my friend who ran the mirror deck as me, he was main decking Thunder King, so he was using Utopia over Roach, whereas this is my built-in Thunder King, so it'll work better next format with JDs and everything around. So 1 Catastor is a staple. I only run 1 Librarian. I know double is broke when you get it out, but honestly, you build this deck and you try and fit in double Librarian and not drop something you don't want to drop. Like this, it was my extra deck was like almost impossible to change around any. It made me actually kind of mad because it's like there was like nothing I could really drop. But whatever, what are you gonna do, right? Bryanak is a staple. This card is good, but I only brought it out yesterday once when I was like summoned to bring back Maxx the Orient Dragon, and I already had the game won before I even brought this out, but I brought it out just to say I could. It's great against decks that Synchro summon, but honestly, I didn't play against, like, in the past I would pull this off against 6 Samurai and take away their Shin, and they can't make a Tomet, but it's like, I never really got the chance to bring it out that I would want to bring it out. Usually it was Debris into Black Rose, Debris into this, Debris into that, but never really into this. Like, I know I would state this over Iron Chain in a heartbeat, because Iron Chain would do nothing better for me, but it's just, like I said, I never really brought it out. So if you're trying to make the deck and you don't have an Orient Dragon, don't worry about it, you can still make the deck without it. And it'll still work just fine. 1 Black Rose, pretty standard, staple. Ancient Fairy Dragon. This allows me to basically make Trishula like it's nothing. let's say I go summon Debris, bring back Dandylion, I sink. If I don't want to use my Black Rose, I go into Ancient Fairy in defense, and then I get 2 tokens, and then I can use Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect to bring out either Spore, Glow Up, or Veiler if either's in my hand, and there's an instant Trishula. So this card is probably one of the best extra deck monsters out there right now, so... And people that don't use this or don't realize that, take into note that this is like an amazing card. And 3000 defense is not easy to get over in a lot of decks, so... 1 Stardust, pretty standard staple. Depending on what I do next format, I might go to 2 if I decide to run Starlight Road, but I doubt it. So, and a Scrap Dragon, that's pretty standard. I didn't use him that much either. I didn't make level 8s that much either, but when I brought him out, I usually won. I brought it against the second agent guy I played, and basically beat him down, beat his Gentetsu down, and stuff like that. And a Trishula. So there's my extra deck. Like I said, there's not really much I could change. I can't really fit anything else in. I can't really take anything else out because everything has a purpose. So, and the side deck. This is the side deck I use. I'll tell you what was good and what wasn't. 1 DD Crow. This was for the water, plant matchups, whatever. I sided in against plant, and I'm trying to think. I don't think it stopped a pot of Avarice. It did. So it was good. Would I run 2? I probably would have preferred 2 in the side deck at regionals, but it was more of a last. I usually only play the 1 Crow because I don't come across a lot of decks that Crow works against, or at least in my locals. So, and I played against the Water Synchro, and I would have preferred 2, but what can you do, right? 1 Fossilina. I sided this in a bunch of games, and honestly, it only helped me, and it didn't even really help. It was against Perfection Herald I played against in like round 2, I believe. And I set it when he had Perfection out and a Manju, and I protected it when he attacked with the Manju, and then on my turn it's like I flip to make the, and it basically its flip was only just to help me make the Herald Perfection negate it so that I had enough outs to Perfection that he would run out of cards. So really, I don't really like this card inside. It doesn't really do that much for me. And like I said, I could side it in against Water Synchro or Frog Monarch, but it's like if I summon it against Frog Monarch, there's an extremely high percent they're either going to Undyne it, attack over it, swap Frog, suicide into it, or they're just going to soul exchange it. So it really doesn't really help them much, and I don't think it's needed. Kinetic Soldier. I didn't play against a single hero or 6 samurai deck. They all basically went they either went out or they scrubbed out or whatever, so this didn't really come in at all. But it's really good against 6 samurai, and it helps against heroes, so I would suggest at least 1. Same with those. I didn't play against Gravekeeper, I didn't play against 6 samurai or hero, so these guys didn't really put any work in, but they're there for the safety net type thing. I sided these in a lot. I sided them in against both agents. I sided it in against round 1. I played against a Beach Drain deck, and I sided in because of its 1900 beater and the ability to get around Skill Drain in a sense. And I sided in against X-Saber when I was in top 8. So this card, definite must. If you're not main decking, side him for 100 for sure. That was for keepers. The only time I ever sided this card in was against Frog Monarch, because just in the one chance that he would set his Tree-Worm Frog or something, and I can take it away at least 1. It worked as like a second DD Crow. Oh no, I sided this in against X-Sabers in game 2, but he never played an Emissary or a Dark Soul on me, so because the game was over really fast. So good card. Like I said, I think it's 1 is a staple. Here is a new tech card, Closed Forest. If you don't know what it does, it's basically all face-up beast-type monsters. You control gain 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard. Field spell cards cannot be activated while this card is face-up on the field. Field spell cards cannot be activated the turn this card is destroyed. This, honestly, people will look at this card and be like, "Oh, he must have sided that for the Gravekeeper matchup." No, this was actually sided in. I never actually played it, but it was in my side deck specifically for the Malefic Skill Drain deck, because that deck really hurts. And there were a couple there, but I was lucky enough to dodge them. I didn't have to play against them. the way it worked out, because when we figured we were playing, I played against Frog Monarch instead, and somebody that was right next to me was playing against the deck, so it also works extremely well against Gravekeeper, and it really puts a hurry on Dragoonity, so I'm probably going to go up to 2 later, and this card is going to get really good and probably go up a lot in value when Dark World becomes legal, because this just puts a shit kicking on Dark World. MVP of my side deck. These cards are amazing. I'm actually thinking going to 3. I played so many decks over the weekend that involved where they'd set like 3 to 4 back row, and I always netted pluses off this because I would set this with a 7 tools. So if they attack, I activate, they 7 tools, then I can 7 tools them, and then net like a +3 off it or a +2 off it. Very good card. Works against Gravekeeper, works against all the skill drain decks now, GBs, heroes, agents. Like, there's so many decks out there this works against. I would definitely suggest 2, if not 3 in your side. What's next? 1 Dust Tornado. I only sided this in against agents because I figured they were going to side into Goza match or something, or rivalry. So, and it helped me. It sort of helped me against Perfection because it forced him to negate when I tried to destroy the Goza match, I believe, or something like that. So I think 1 is necessary, 2 possible, 3 overkill. 1D Prison for the skill drains, the anti-metas, the GBs, the TGs, the whatnot. So I main 1, figured why not side 1. 1 Bombless Trap Hole. This was a last minute throw in. It's to help deal with Christia, Hyperion, the anti-meta decks, the GBs, whatever, Gravekeeper. It hurts a lot of decks, but it was like a last minute throw in. I would probably put this in over like the Fossil Dyna, probably drop the Fossil and put a second one of these in. So, great card. I would side these for sure if you're not maining them. And 1 7 Tools. Same thing. Like I said, I sided it heavy for the skill drain, the anti-meta, the gadgets, the GBs, agents, you know, all those decks. I sided heavy for it, and it all put in work. So yeah, so that's my deck. I went, like I said, it wasn't the biggest regionals. It was only 6 rounds. I only lost 1 game to Frog Monarch, and I 2-0'd every single other opponent I played, and that includes the top 8 match when I played against X-Sabers. I 2-0'd him. Game 1, I just wrecked him. Basically, game 2. He goes, I figured I should tell this play because it was kind of a funny play. He summons Banisher, sets a back row and ends. I'm like, okay. I draw and I end my turn. Because I've only got a Maxx in my hand and nothing else. I'm like, and I had a Dark Hole in my hand. So I was like, okay, I could Dark Hole the Banisher, so that turns my Maxx on. So if he goes special summon like crazy, I can Maxx, but I decided against it just in case. He draws, and he goes, summon Bogart, special summon Full Helm, special summon Fall Roll. I'm like, crap. He attacked, but that's all he does. He attacks with everything, and I'm down to like 800 life. I believe it was 800. And he ends, and I'm like, okay, well this is good. I draw another dead card, no monster. I'm like, MST, destroys back a Dark Hole, and he just puts his hands on his head. He's like, oh crap, it's. And then it went on for like 20 turns where we were just waiting to draw monsters. And then I drew Thunder King and beat him down with Thunder King for like 4 attacks or something like that, or 3 attacks. And until he finally drew a note to it, which was Bogart Knight, and I had a Book of Moon set, a 7 tools that I can use, and a Solemn Warning. He suicides, and I'm like, do I want a Book of Moon or do I want to save it? I let the attack go through, he suicided, whatever, gone. And then it was funny because I top decked into Tengu and I just beat him down with Tengu. So, he was a really good player. He's a good friend of mine. And it was whatever, we were both top 8. And neither of us really wanted the binder. So it was really just for fun. But I got the binder, then I was able to sell it for 20 bucks, so it worked out for me. What else? The only other big thing that I thought I should mention, because it was actually pretty amazing, was game 1 against Frog Monarch. I forced him to play Gorz on me 3 times. I Brian-acted it back to his hand over and over again, and I had Librarian. And I kept Brian-acting my Limit Reverse that was down, and I just kept reusing the Limit Reverse, bringing back something, and then making a Formula Synchron. I made Formula Synchron twice. And I just kept drawing cards, and it was ironic. I beat him down, bounced the Gorz until it was a point where he couldn't even drop the Gorz anymore because it was over. So, yeah. So let me know what you think. Comments, like the video, subscribe, whatever. If I played you at the regionals or anything like that, post for sure. Yeah, so that's my deck. Like I said, I'm going to be doing deck profiles like a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 maybe, at the start of the new format, showing you what decks I think are going to be good for next format, because I think I have most of the stuff for the decks. So yeah, alright, I'm out. Peace.